If you purchased MSTY on Wednesday, the day before the X date, so that you can earn that distribution, would you be up or down on that play after the price of the stock dropped by that distribution amount? And I also want to explain why we do not want Bitcoin on a rocket ship straight up. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So today we're going to take a look at MSTY, MSTR, and we're also going to take a peek at MSTW. And we're going to take a look to see if you would have purchased MSTY in particular on Wednesday, the day before the X date, so that you could earn that distribution. And since that distribution does come out of the price of the stock, would you be up or down on the play right now? So we're going to take a look at the charts and we're going to check that out, and we're going to see if you're experiencing NAV erosion or not. All right, so here we are on MSTY, and you can see that I have my chart here. I've got my lines drawn. This line here at the 1143, that is our support line. We have had some red candles, right? But they are stair-stepping up, or at least starting to, right? So the big question is, if you would have purchased the day before the X date, which is this candle right here, and if you bought it at the close, and that close of that day is 1161, so that you can earn that distribution that they're going to pay out, and that distribution amount is going to be 21 cents. Well, I think you can see right here that if you did buy them at 1161 and the current price being 1173, you are already up 12 cents, right? And that doesn't even count for that distribution. So just in the price alone, you're already up 12 cents. Plus the distribution, you're up 33 cents, right? Now, I'm not saying necessarily to buy before the X date and then sell it afterwards, right? Now, you can do whatever you want to do and play it however you want to play it. But I know a lot of people talking about the NAV erosion. Now, recently we have been coming down, right? It has been coming down in price. But since we have gone to the weeklies, I'm hoping we can start to level out on that NAV, right? So that we can recover that distribution amount. So this here, what happened this week, is exactly what we need with MSTY. Because if we're paying out 21 cents, then we need that stock, or ETF in this case, right, MSTY, to recover that 21 cents. At least take it back to the price at which it was at minimum the day before the distribution came out of the price of the ETF itself. So if it was at a close of 1161 minus that 21 cents would take it down to 1140. And as you can see, it did close at 1153. So we were already recovering some. And then today we closed at 1173. So we went ahead and recovered that drop in distribution and then some, right? Because we only needed to get back up to a minimum of 1161. And it made it up to 1173. And I know these are just pennies, right? We're just pennies above it, and we could come right back down. Who knows? As this market has just been all over the place. But like I've said before, I take the small wins, right? I take it day by day. That's all you can do. And especially with these high yield ETFs, I am definitely more surgical about when to buy. I don't necessarily want to buy just any time and all the time, because you could be chasing it up and raising up your real price per share. And then when it turns around, now your average is much higher and it shoots right past your average. And now you're showing negative, right? Versus what I do is I only average down on my real price per share. So if that price of MSTY is above my real price per share, then I'm not going to purchase it, because that would move that average up. And that works against me of getting to my goal of getting MSTY paid off. And I'm almost at payoff status here. I will be updating my spreadsheet this weekend because I will be entering in that distribution we just earned into my spreadsheet and see what my new real price per share is and how much closer and how much more I've got left before I get it paid off. So super excited, cannot wait. But my guess is within the next few weeks, I should have it paid off and I'll be able to show you what it looks like. But I just want you to know you can do it too if you are very particular with the price ranges that you are purchasing. And when I talk about my real price per share average, I'm not talking about my purchase price per share average. I'm talking about my real price per share average, which is my adjusted price per share average. And you've seen on my other videos where I'm looking at my spreadsheet, that real price per share is what I am using for my average. And if the price of MSTY is above that, I am not going to purchase because it's going to raise it up. But if it is below it, then I can purchase and help to bring it down so that when it moves back up, I can move that position into the green just that much quicker. But as you can see here on MSTY, we have moved up some. Now it's red because it opened higher than it closed, right? Because it opened at 1178 but closed at 1173, okay? But that is still stair-stepping up. But there is still some sellers that are pushing it back down. So we'll see if it can continue. We really need green candles on the move up. So hopefully we can get those come next week. So for MSTY, you can see that we have a 1.73% up for the day. A very nice move up for the day. So I'm super excited about that. And like I said, I cannot wait to update my spreadsheet. But let's take it in comparison to another one that a lot of people have is the one with Round Hill, and that's the MSTW. And here we are on MSTW, and this is with Round Hill, and it uses the underlying of Mr. as well. Now, the Round Hill one here is leveraged, okay? I think it's a 1.2, and you can correct me down in the comments if that's not correct. But I believe it's a 1.2 leveraged ETF using Mr. Now it too also is stair-stepping up. But of course, just like MSTY, it is stair-stepping up, but those candles are still red. We really need some green candles to help push that momentum here up to the green side, right? We still got some sellers trying to push this thing down, as I'm sure it's being shorted right along with MSTY. Now, MSTW actually got 1.72% move up today, which is kind of surprising, as I would have figured that MSTW would actually have a bit more than MSTY if it is leveraged. And just doing a quick little Google search right here, you can see I was correct. So it is a leveraged ETF at 1.2 times the return of MSTR. So going back to our chart here, that is a bit interesting, isn't it? If MSTW is 1.2 leveraged, I wonder why it's only 1.72% and MSTY is 1.73%. If anything, I would have thought MSTW would have gone up just a bit more than MSTY. So I'm not sure why that is, but very interesting. Both of them, though, are up pretty close to about the same amount. Now, MSTW is a $25.43 ETF, whereas MSTY is $11.73 currently. The chart here looks very similar to MSTY, right? So not really much difference there, but I was actually surprised that MSTW is not actually a higher percent up than MSTY. So very interesting, right? But let's just go ahead and let's check out MSTR, as that is the one that is pushing both of these and making it happen. And here we are on MSTR. And again, you can see we're having those red candles. They are stair-stepping up. I just wish that we can get some green candles in here, right? Now, it is jumping, right? I mean, because you went from a close of 284.92, and then the next day it opened at 290.43. So it is jumping up and then kind of resting, right? So that part of it is good, right? The fact that it is closing at this point and then jumping and open way up here, right? I'll take it. I just would prefer to get some green candles so that we can start getting some green momentum and get some momentum going to the upside. Well, Mr. right now is currently at 289.08, and that's the close of the day. It moved up 1.46%, and that's interesting as well, right? MSTY and MSTW actually went up more than MSTR. Very interesting. But I've got no problem with that at all. Now you can see here on my account, I have a total of 27 shares and my average is 334.48. So with the price of Mr. at 289, I am down in the play. But when I get a drop on that RSI 2, I'm buying a share or two. But I'm not too worried about it because I am long Mr. along with Bitcoin. So with an average of 334, I'm okay with it. But I don't mind buying to averaging it down. And of course we got Bitcoin right here, and now it's moving up. And we're getting those green candles moving on up. And it is doing a nice little stair step up. This is what we want for MSTY and MSTW to be able to move up steadily, right? We do not necessarily want a big, huge candle to shoot way up here, right, in one day. Because MSTY will probably show something like a 2% move or 2.5% move, but Mr. might be something like a 4 or 5% move, right? It's just that MSTY cannot ride up that high because it is capped on that upside. So we need those moves up on Bitcoin, but we need them just like this right here. We need them small and steady. Just keep moving up. Just keep moving up. Adding that volatility as it's moving up. We do not necessarily need some kind of crazy green candle, which is great if you own Bitcoin, but not so great if it is MSTY or MSTW that you own. And the reason why it's bad if it does shoot up high, and we'll say we've got this crazy green candle right here, right? I just now drew this in here, and we'll just say on this day right here, we got this crazy green candle and it went all the way up here from about 111 to about 120, right? Crazy green candle. Well, that's great for Bitcoin, right? But MSTY and MSTW is not going to move like that. It's going to move up a portion of the way. So I'm just going to draw a representation of a candle for MSTY just to help show my point of why we do not want this big green candle. Okay, so now I've got this orange candle right here. And we're just going to say in relation to the two, okay? This green candle is Bitcoin, okay? That's Bitcoin moving up. And this little orange candle is the relation to that. And this is MSTY, okay? So MSTY moves up, but it doesn't quite go up as high. And it might go up, say, 2.5%. Now this one here has moved up. We'll put it at roughly about 7%, okay? MSTY, 2.5, Bitcoin, 7. So you see that and you're like, but I still don't understand what matters. Well, here's what matters. You've had this big move up and then say the next day, what happens? Bitcoin comes down. Okay, so we've got this green candle right here where Bitcoin moved up. The next day, Bitcoin moved down. And how much did it move down? Well, it went down, we'll say 4%. Well, MSTY will most likely drop down close to that same amount, right? About 4%. So there you go. We have Bitcoin dropping 4%, and we've got MSTY dropping that 4% because we're not capped on the downside. We're only capped on the upside. And now Bitcoin is sitting here, and it's only moved down a little over half that candle, right? But what did we move down on MSTY? We went down further than where we started. We started here, right? We went from here up to here, and then we came down. Now our current price is way down here. Now this in relation, right? Don't pay attention to the prices over here, just the idea of the candles. We have Bitcoin moving up this big green candle and coming down just a little over halfway. MSTY moves up, but it's capped, so it only goes up, say, 2.5%. But when Bitcoin falls down, or Mr. in this case, we'll say Mr., right? Mr. falls that percentage, then MSTY will fall roughly that same percentage. But like I said, the difference is this one here is still positive. If you bought it down here at the beginning and now you're right here, you're still in the green, right? Even though it shot up and came down over half of it, you're still green. But MSTY, if you bought it here and it shot up, it was capped, so it went as high as it could, and then the next day it fell, you're under, right? You bought it here, but now you're down here. So that's why we do not want this big green candle on Bitcoin or MSTR, right? Because if we get that big candle on MSTR and then we have a drop, we're going to take that full drop, but we can only go up so far on the upside. So even if this candle here, it shoots all the way back up to here again, and it moves up like this right here, and say it breaks past where it had its previous high, right? It breaks past it, and it's all the way up to here. Well, keeping that same mentality down here for MSTY, it's going to cap at around that 2.5% again. And there we go. So for MSTR here, you bought it way down here, and now you're way up here, right? So you've moved up a good bit, and it can come down again some, and then MSTY is going to take that full drop again. And you can see how this could stair step down even while Bitcoin or MSTR is moving up. You can see that it keeps moving it down because we have this big pop up, but MSTY cannot take that big pop, right? And this one here could be that long, right? But MSTY is not going to be longer, right? I am just using a 2.5%. That does not mean that's what it moves, but that is around about what I've noticed as far as in percentage wise that it has moved. Now it's moved 2.7 and less or whatever, but I'm just using this as an example to show you, even though you bought it and you're riding it up, and then if it falls down, you fall below where you actually started versus the underlying, you're still green. So all this to show and to explain what I mean by why you do not want that big candle, as that can hurt you whenever it does pull back, because they will, right? You get a big candle, you're going to get a pullback. And you can see it right here, even on the downside, right? You got this big red candle, right? Came all the way down here, and then it pulled back up. And you'll see it throughout the charts. And of course, that's the reason why you have charts and it's just wavy, right? But each time it does that, it affects MSTY because it cannot recover that big move up. It can recover the smaller moves up, but it cannot recover those big candles. So that's why you'll see the underlying outperform MSTY. It's because after a big move up and you have a pullback, you're capped on that upside, but you're not capped on that downside. And that's the one that will get you right here, right? After a big candle, it's going to want to pull back. Now, you can have a normal size candle that MSTY can keep up with and have a normal pullback, and it would be just fine. It's when this one here overextends and then pulls back, we take that full pullback, but we're not getting that full upside. So I've tried to explain it a few different ways, and hopefully one of those ways helps you to understand what I mean when I say we do not want a big pop on Bitcoin or MSTR. It's exciting to see, especially if you own Bitcoin or MSTR, but it's not helpful for MSTY, MSTW, or any of these high yield ETFs for the underlying to pop. So I hope that made sense. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. Be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, Legend out.